Hello everyone, welcome to this second session on TranluZence. Hope you enjoyed the first session. This is a new series where we are exploring the technique of TranluZence and we are already down one tile. So today I have a Zentangle in front of me and we are going to be trying another translucent tile. Yeah, so let's get started right away. I'm going to start with my pen and give a nice border. So just add an orb inside like this, right? And then probably we'll add one more aura so that we can add a marasu border, right? So adding one more aura there. So as I mentioned in my previous session also, choose tangles wisely when you are using the tangle, using this technique of translucence. You generally use tangles which have a lot of inking involved in the background. So this technique comes up better when you use widely spaced and less complicated tangles, right? Because the more complicated it is, you have to draw more on the paper, the vellum sheet with your pencil, right, for the translucence effect. And if they are not widely spaced and if they are too intricate, then the effect is not that good because the pencil starts to blur and it spreads, right? So that is an issue. So that's why we generally use widely spaced out and tangles which have lot of background inking involved for this kind of a technique to be successfully used. Although you can go with intricate tangles also, but you will have to be really careful when you do the pencil areas, because pencil has to be sharp enough and it has to be used lightly, and the moment you put your hands there it will blur, it will spread. So it's better to use widely spaced out, you know not too complicated, less complicated tangles. Yeah. So now I'm going to draw marasu, just ink the alternate spaces with some bit of highlight there in the center, right? So you can do it at your own pace. I'm just going to ink a few and then you can continue and give the border like this. Yeah. Again going to the second one here. Take your time and ink alternate sections with this highlight in the center. Right? So I'm still doing the same exercise, adding my marasu border, inking the spaces, leaving a highlight in between and inking the two sides. Take your time and do that exercise. Give a nice border to your tile. You can add any other border. Again, this is just a suggestion. Feel free. Or you can tangle along with me. You can also do that highlight with your chalk pencil if you feel like. There is no compulsion as such to do it this way. So you can ink the complete section with a bolder nib and then add a chalk highlight. Even that looks fine. right? So done with that. Now let us add a very thin aura inside. Very close to the border. Right? Like this. Now I am going to create those sections inside the way we did yesterday. Any number that you want. Probably one in the center also. Like this. Yeah. And now I'm going to start with the tangles trickles. Yeah. So if you want, you can first start with your pencil and then go ahead and ink the sections that need to be inked. Right, so even that is possible, but just make sure that you use your pencil very lightly. You don't press it hard. Generally we forget that and we use our pencil dark, right? We press it and you generally don't get that effect very nicely if you press your pencil too hard. Pencil has to be very softly used. Now I'm going to ink these areas which are falling inside my open sections, right? So ink those sections which are visible through the cutout space of your translucent vellum, and rest has to be with pencil only. Now you can add the tangles trickles here, right? So ink this section. We know how to draw the tangles trickles. So we have to alternately ink sections, one section, and in the next we ink that part of the orb which is falling in the next section, right? So here the section is inked, here the orb is inked. Whatever portion of the orb falls in that section to be inked. Right? Again the next I'm going to ink the section. Right? Although you can add something else in these sections also, some other tangles, but again you should think that whether those tangles will show clearly when you draw it outside with pencil, right? So it's better to keep it inked. That's the way I do it, but you can always try. Right? So now you have to follow the sequence the way it is, right? So this part is inked. So this part, yeah, this section. So this section, this part will be inked. So you can always add an orb there and ink it. Right? So you have to now follow the same thing. So take your time. You can use a bolder nib if you want and ink the section. So Struggles has considerable inking and that's why I chose this tangle. Yeah, avoid putting your hands on the pencil as much as possible because it will spread. It's a graphite pencil used for shading, so avoid putting your hands on it. You don't want it to spread much. There's considerable pencil use here, so you have to take care. Yeah, again in this section you can add more orbs with your pencil like this, like this, like this. Yeah, Yeah. Now moving on to the next section. Again, this section will be empty, but the next section will be, yeah, this will be empty. So I'm going to place some orbs there. I'm drawing the tangle circles here. Again, you can place some orbs here, half there and half here, half there and half here. Right? So go with whatever you feel like. Right? So let's go with this much first. So now this section will be inked. Yeah. Going to the next, this will be empty. Yeah. Again, this will be inked. So I'm going to ink this section. So use your boulder nib and do that exercise slowly, carefully. Yeah. So this section has been inked. This section will be inked. Next means the next section, the orbs will be inked, right? So this part will be inked. Again here, this will be inked. So take your time. That's how the tangle goes. So I'm not doing anything new here. Just alternatively inking section and the orbs. Here. So where the section is inked, the orb is not inked. Where the orb is inked, the section is left empty. That's the basic rule. So I have done that exercise with my pen here. Now I am going to use my pencil, right? So this section is inked, so just use your blending stub, whatever is already there, and just add that graphite there to show inking, right? Again, this section of the orb, you have to add graphite. Again, the next section is inked, so you have to add graphite there, leaving the orb. Right? So if you want, you can use your graphite pencil a bit, but don't use too much. Yeah. So now just blend the graphite. Make sure you don't touch the orbs. They should remain white. And add graphite to the rest. Blend it nicely. Keep the orbs intact. Right? Again, in the next section, the orbs have to be inked. So I'm going to ink this part of the orb. Yeah. I think we missed that. Right? So in this section, the orb has to be inked. So I somehow lost a part of my video. So this is what I have done. Sorry for that. And I used the pencil and shaded with my Tortolon the rest of the spaces where there is no cutout, right? So followed the same process And then what I did was I used my jelly roll pen to add some dots and some highlights on my circles. Yeah, so I used my chalk pencil and added some highlights on my circles first, and then I added some dots with my jelly roll. I also shaded my marasu both sides by adding graphite. So that much work I did, and I lost that video somehow. So this is my completed tile, right? So pardon me for that. It happens sometimes, technical glitch, I think. So that's our completed tile for today. Do sign and date your tile, and I will see you again in the next session.